on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Kevin Jackwitz. Welcome to the Kaged Review. At the beginning of the year of 2019, I made a list of the most anticipated movies for 2019. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take that list and I'm going to review those movies in order from worst to best. I have actually added a couple of movies that I didn't actually anticipate or didn't know about at the beginning of the year. And to preface this, I have not seen Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. I've heard a lot of really bad things about it. And I'll be honest, after The Last Jedi, I wasn't that interested. I really wasn't. I just feel like they have completely botched up that entire series. So, Star Wars, that's all I'm going to say about that. I'll probably go see it at the beginning of the year, like right after New Year's. And I'll do that review, and I'm sure I'm going to absolutely annihilate it because I hate what they did. And from everything I've heard, they really didn't do anything to correct it with the new movie. Having said that, moving on to the list. The first movie on my list here is The New Mutants. The New Mutants was at the time being made by Fox Studios. It has been in production hell for a while. It's been pushed back several times, and it is actually now slated for, I believe it's April 2020, being released by Disney now. But since it wasn't released, it's at the bottom of the list. So number 2 on the list, easily for me, one of the worst movies of the year, was Hellboy, starring David Harbour. And this was actually kind of sad for me, A, because I like Hellboy as a character and as a series, but B, because I really like David Harbour and I wanted this to be something big for him. Unfortunately, it wasn't. The script was terrible. Some of the acting was just absolutely horrendous. Ironically, David Harbour was in fact one of the best parts of Hellboy. But it just went nowhere, and I think this is one of the most reviled movies of the year. And I was a little apprehensive at first anyway because I was a big fan of the original couple of Hellboy movies. And they did nothing better than those two movies. Nothing. So it is very low on the list. Up next at number 3 is Dark Phoenix. Dark Phoenix is something that really left a bad taste in my mouth after coming out of the movie theater because this is supposed to be the big send-off for the entire X-Men franchise. Everything since 2010, literally the grandfather of all comic book or hero movies, and it just fell apart. You want to talk about bad writing, this is it in spades, and you can tell that they really knew that they had something bad on their hands. Apparently, they went back and reworked the last 1/3 of the movie with a huge train sequence, which actually was very fun to watch. The special effects there, they really grabbed me. And I was kind of invested in the last 1/3. But none of this made sense whatsoever. And honestly, if I remember correctly, one of the things I kind of expect in a movie like this is to have some real gravitas, something that you feel an impending doom and you have casualties. And this movie really didn't have that. And so I thought it was a very weak finish for the X-Men series. The next movie on my list is Glass, and this is the end of the Shattered trilogy, if you will. Shattered, Split, and Glass making up that trilogy. M. Night Shyamalan's kind of love letter to comic books and comic book characters. And he really did something cool with Shattered. And Split, I thought, was a phenomenal performance by James McAvoy. This guy who has, I think, like 27 personalities or whatever it was. And so in this movie, you get all 3 of the main characters in this mental health facility where they're trying to be told that, they're suffering from this delusion, this affliction, this new, whatever it is that it's called. make people believe they're superheroes. Well, of course, they actually are in some ways. And so it was all a big standoff. And it was all a plan at the end to just kill everybody, like all the main characters in the series. And so a lot of people had big problems with that. Like a lot of people really, really hated the direction that M. Night Shyamalan took with it. I didn't. Um, it is kind of a slow-paced movie, though. It's definitely a slow burn. And at the end of the day, I did feel like it was kind of weak. Uh, Toward the ending, you realize that there's this counterculture, basically. It's just like society that's trying to kill superhero beings, which really didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. It just, I don't know, I didn't buy it. So that did make it kind of weak. So Glass, not very high on the list. Number 5 here is The Lion King. And this is kind of where I start getting the movies I enjoyed. But for The Lion King, if you enjoyed the original animated version, you're going to enjoy the new animated version. Like, that's really all it is. It's a different type of animation, but it's still animation, and it still tells pretty much the exact same story. So I really didn't feel like it did anything to advance this movie whatsoever. You had the live action version, and that was it. So Lion King, it was good, but it's literally rehashing the exact same thing. Aladdin is next on the list at number 6, and much like The Lion King, you get the live action translation of an animated movie. But here, I do like that you actually have a live action version, not a different type of animation. But you also have a couple of things that they really took liberties with from the original Aladdin. And that's why it's a step above Lion King, is because you start the movie differently, you end the movie differently, and I do think that it actually added more layer to the story. So I was actually a very big fan of that. I really liked Aladdin. I thought they did a great job with it. No problems there. Number 7 is It Chapter 2. I really liked the original It Chapter 1, if you will. I thought that it was a phenomenal job, an amazing cast. The kids were excellent in it. Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise just really was genuinely creepy. And so I expected big things with It Chapter 2 with the cast that I knew walking into. I was pretty excited about it. My biggest issue with the movie probably isn't most people's big issue with the movie. Mine was the pacing and how long the movie was. I think they could have condensed a lot of it, made it shorter, and made it a little bit more exciting, because they actually had some really great moments in this movie. Some really creepy moments, but I think letting it drag out and telling, honestly, some kind of unnecessary story did hurt it. But I was a fan of it. I did like it. The ending of the movie was, kind of what it was in the book. My issue with the ending was I really wanted them to take some liberties with this creature that, it was supposed to turn into. But they kind of halfway did that. They did like half creature body, and they kept the other half like with the Pennywise face. And I thought that actually was a lazy choice, honestly. But whatever, everybody's going to have their opinions, and that's mine, so take it for what it was. But I really did enjoy It Chapter 2. I thought it was fun. It was a very good remake. And Stephen King is sitting on a gold mine, because they're doing a lot of remakes of his right now. And that leads us into number 8, which is another Stephen King remake, Pet Sematary. I really loved this movie. I thought it was creepy. I thought it was a little bit different. They took some liberties with the original story and with the story in the book. And so I really did appreciate that, because you kind of go into it expecting to see something and you get something a little bit different. And that's always fun when you're doing remakes, because if you just rehash everything identically, you're going to lose people. So John Lithgow is Judd Crandall, I think his name was. he had some big shoes to fill with the original Judd Crandall, and I thought he did great. Like, I really did think he did great. So, absolutely creepy. I love the creature effects with Churchill. Just everything about this I loved, honestly. I really did. So, ladies and gentlemen, Pet Cemetery, number 8. Number 9 on the list. I love this movie so much. Shazam. As you can see by my Superman shirt, I'm a DC guy all the way. Always have been. I feel like they got the best characters, the best storylines as a rule. Uh, so I was really honestly apprehensive when I heard they were doing Shazam, and I was even more apprehensive when I saw the foam bodysuit. I was like, I really don't know about this. Like, they're gonna kill this character for me, but they didn't. You know, they made it like a comic book hero version of Big, where they got this guy in an adult body but a child's mind. Plus, you add the superhero stuff to it. I mean, it was incredibly funny, and this really was a comedy. You know, you could say it was a action hero movie or whatever, drama. Well, obviously not drama, but it was a comedy, man. It was funny all the way through, and they killed it. Like, I really thought they did a great job. I did think that the creature effects for the Seven Deadly Sins were pretty cheesy. Like, they were very, you know, one-dimensional, to be honest, man. Other than that, though, I like Strong, great actor. And I forget the kid's name that plays Billy Batson, but he was really, really good, man. Just nothing bad I can say about any of it. So, Shazam, very high on my list. Just a fun movie. So, ladies and gentlemen, after that, and I hated to do this, but I had to do this. I gotta give credit where it's due, because while there was a lot of controversy around Captain Marvel, and especially Brie Larson, the movie itself was really, really good. Also, incredibly funny at times, and especially with this cat that turned out to be an alien called a Flurkin or whatever. Like, they had some really funny moments in there. It was really damn good. And honestly, Brie Larson had a lot more personality than the trailers led on to. The trailers just made her stone-faced, didn't get any personality from her whatsoever. The movie itself was not that case. And so I was very happy about that. It was a little bit predictable at points, but I thought it was a very good origin story. Very cool timepiece movie. A lot of action, a lot of funny moments in there, like I said. So it was just a really fun ride, and that's what, I mean, this was your typical blockbuster summer movie, and it lived up to everything it was supposed to be. It made you wow, it made you laugh, it made you get invested, and that's it, man. What more can you ask for? So Captain Marvel was actually very high on my list this year. Next up on the list is Once Upon a Time in Mexico. This was Quentin Tarantino's 9th movie. Had Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt as really the main two actors. It was their story, and really most everything else revolved around their story. It was, you know, the tale of this Hollywood actor who was kind of fading from the limelight and trying to keep some significance to his movie career. Same thing with his stunt double, which was the character by Brad Pitt. And it was really just these guys' lives. It was just like following their lives for a few days. And there wasn't really a whole lot of structure beyond that. And I talked about that in the movie review that I did. And in the end, it leads to kind of a standoff with these two guys and some people from the Manson family. And it's not what you would expect. And that was one of the really good things about this movie is Quentin Tarantino has learned how to play with historical events, and you kind of know what happens, so you expect certain things to happen, and then something completely different happens, and you're like, oh, wow, well, that was cool. So, very good movie, very, I mean, I could say well acted, and that just really does not say enough. That understates like how great the performances were from just about everybody. Phenomenal movie all the way through. It was a bit long, and you did feel the length of the movie, but it was just great moment after great moment. Um, and I've said before, and I'll say again, Quentin Tarantino really knows how to make simple conversations just as involving as anybody I've ever seen. So, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, very good movie. Number 12 for me, Alita Battle Angel. This was kind of a surprise for me. I mean, I knew it had Spielberg behind it and had a great story, but they did an amazing job, A, telling the story, but B, visually making this look so good all the way through this movie. The CGI in here was phenomenal. And again, the acting here, man, especially Christoph Waltz, one of my favorite actors. This guy, there's something about his acting style that just draws me into every single thing he does. And this was absolutely no different. So, Alita Battle Angel, amazing movie. If you want something that is, again, a wild ride with a lot of special effects, this is it. Number 13 on the list, John Wick 3. Now, while this did have one part a little bit toward the end of the middle, it really didn't make a whole lot of sense whatsoever. The rest of the movie was just stellar. This is an action movie, and Keanu Reeves sold this action movie as good as anybody that's alive today. It was ridiculously good. It starts off fast and furious and literally does not let up the entire movie, except for that little part that I was just talking about. John Wick 3 was everything it needed to be. It was a lot of action, except for that one part that I was talking about. But one of the things I liked about it is you've already had the build-up of two movies, and so this one just went right into the action. You had, one fight scene that led right into another fight scene that led into a chase scene, and it just kept building and building and getting crazier and crazier. And that was one of the things that was like the love of John Wick 3. It was a lot of machismo, but it also was self-aware, and it knew what kind of movie it was, and it didn't take itself too seriously. And so with all of that put together, it was just a lot of fun. I think that they've got a really cool build for the next movie, and of course with franchises like this, they milk them to death. But at least they're not being entirely lazy with this series. I mean, it really was, I don't know if I can say it's the best in the series, but certainly with the action, it was the best action build in the series, if that makes sense. So that was where I was at with it, man. It was just a great time. You shut your mind off. You watch some crazy violence happening, and that was John Wick 3. It was just absolutely amazing. For number 14, my second to last movie, I really fought with some of these movies and where to place them, and this one in particular I really fought with, but at the end of the day, I just really loved what they did with it. So Spider-Man Far From Home, this was a movie that you kind of already expected to be good. It's the Spider-Man sequel. It's also the closeout for Marvel's Phase 3. And they're bringing in Mysterio, which is one of Spider-Man's main villains, like somebody they just haven't had yet. And I thought it was very smart the way they made Mysterio. Because Mysterio in the comics is this like alien creature who can do all kind of crazy stuff. And here in this movie, he's a regular guy, but very smart and very technologically sound. And he creates these visuals that give you the impression that he's actually the character from the comic book. And I thought that was just really a smart way to go about it. Something practical to explain something very impractical. And of course, as the Marvel Universe, nothing is practical as it is. But I just thought that was very sound strategy from them. And plus, you've got amazing actors in this movie who just really were able to pull it off. So, obviously I wanted to see how they closed out Phase 3, if there was anything kind of leading into Phase 4. Not really, but just a really fun movie. And again, this is a summer blockbuster to the letter. It is a lot of special effects, a lot of action, does have some humor to it. So, a very great movie, very fun. And that leads us to the number one. If you know me by now, if you know anything about uh, my movie taste right now, as they are, you know that I'm going for Avengers Endgame, and it was the best closing to a storyline like this that I think I've seen. There have been a lot of big builds um, in movies and TV shows where they just really dropped the ball on the ending. And I felt like this was probably the best strategized ending for a storyline, especially when spanning over 10 years, that I've ever seen. It really closed out this chapter in the Marvel Universe very well. You had some very cool send offs, um, and you're kind of tying all the loose ends together. And I mean, it really was an achievement. Now, forgetting the fact that it was like 3 hours and really did not feel like that to me. I know some people complained that it was a little slow in parts, but I didn't really think so. I thought it was amazing. Um, I mean, they had me the whole time. And the big face off with Thanos and Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man, I thought was spectacular. Like that whole last hour was a fight scene and just mind blowing all the way through. And then it just kept getting bigger and bigger and adding more characters. And I was like, man, you guys killed it. Like, you guys just absolutely killed it. And so, I mean, I was just awestruck through most of this movie. Now, I do like Infinity War better because I think the action there was just crazy throughout. Plus, it was a little bit shorter, but Avengers Endgame was phenomenal. Absolutely an achievement. And so it has to be number one. Absolutely my favorite movie of 2019. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Those are all the movies that I kind of said were like movies to expect, what you really want to see in 2019. And for the most part, I feel like they did a very good job. There were definitely a couple of letdowns there, especially with Hellboy and Dark Phoenix. Glass, I didn't have the issues that a lot of people had with it, but I did have some issues with it. Same thing with It Chapter 2. But once you really get into like Shazam, Captain Marvel, now these aren't perfect movies by any stretch of the imagination, but for what they were meant to be, they nailed it. And that's the point that I think a lot of people don't get. Not everything has to be this gritty, amazingly well acted movie. Sometimes it's nice to just go out, shut your brain off, and enjoy what you're seeing, laugh at something, wow at something. And that's fine. I enjoy movies like American Beauty and Memento, things like that. Some of the old classic gangster movies too. I love that. I love the acting. I love the performances. I love the writing. So I get that. But sometimes you just want to go out and enjoy something, just something amazing. And that's a lot of what these movies were. Alita Battle Angel, Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man, Shazam, Captain Marvel. Just a nice 2-3 hour vacation from life. So ladies and gentlemen, that's where I'm at. Let me know what your guys' favorite movies were for the year. Keep in mind, there was actually a lot of movies that I didn't see this year. So I mainly saw most of the main blockbuster movies and a few select others. So unfortunately, I didn't get out and get introduced to as many movies as a lot of people did, because my life has just been crazy this year. But as it stands, that's where I'm at. Let me know what yours are. If you enjoyed this, hit the like button, subscribe, and share. My name is Kevin Jackwitz. Kaged Nation, out.